Sponsored by Andrea Mason, Press Play, Plan Life According to You LLC. Take care of your mental health. Find inner peace by rediscovering and loving you for who you truly are. Take advantage of this exclusive offer and choose to press play today. Thank you.
That's it, buddy. You're out of here.
No!
Everywhere I go, I see his face. I just really miss him.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? We are live. How everybody doing? Happy Friday, guys. If you are new to the channel, make sure you like, share, most importantly, subscribe. Hit that notification bell, that bell right there, to stay in contact with all our platforms, just to name a few: Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, all those, man. We are there. My bad. Obviously, X. It's not Twitter no more. I keep forgetting it. I apologize. But guys, we are here. We are ready, and it is live once again. I know a lot of people have been asking so many times when we getting the mic out, when we getting ready, and when, most importantly, we getting some interviews. Yes, 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 we have got one today, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to have some fun. But before we do that, we have got to do the ones that pay the bills. First and foremost, I want to thank Dubby, that jitterless energy. You go to w.gg, go get you some of that awesome flavors that got that beach and peach, guys. I'm telling you, that one is amazing. That push and punch, big energy tears, and of course, the cream of cream. That's right. That one is if you're into those, like, those Cali cream, that one is very fruity. Kind of a tangy, like a peach taste, but the big energy tears, I'm telling you, all of them are really amazing. I just tried the Dragonade one. Super, super good. They have a starter pack that you can get a shaker bottle and 3 samples of your choice. And if you're a NASCAR fan, get you a bumper sticker, get you a hat, t-shirts. Go in there, go to w.gg, type in the promo code with the capital B, Buzz20, to get 10% off of your purchase. Shout out to Dubby, that jitterless energy. And of course, shout out to Dubby for their 3-year anniversary that just happened yesterday. So major shout out to Dubby. All right, guys, as you can tell, we are ready to go. Season 5 has been having some big things going on this go around. I know a lot of people are waiting for thinking, hey, we're going to take a break this summer. We're not. I know we've been off and on all year just due to personal issues with my family and stuff like that. So I want to first and foremost thank everyone for what you have sent, the prayers, the donations, everything that y'all have done. And shout out to the many people that bought a Matthew's Biggest Fans t-shirt. Matthew really appreciated that entirely, guys. Really do. His mom, everyone really did appreciate it. Just seeing the community just coming together, and more importantly, just really helping out poor Matthew, because him being now just officially 12, and the end of April, literally just seeing everything now going full circle. Matthew's officially 12. Matthew's now going to be in 6th grade. this upcoming school year. I know summertime's coming, so he's ready to go. Right now, he's done with surgeries right now, so that's the only update I got right now. We're getting in the process of getting his PT started, so sadly, he probably will not be with me this summer. I'm going to probably be making more trips out to Atlanta again just to come out and see him. But for right now, I usually go on break for the summer to, mainly spend with him and my daughter and stuff like that. But we're going to keep going. Season 5 is definitely going to continue on. I probably have my season break, say, in August, but who knows. But guys, I'm super excited. And first and foremost, I want to even talk about those awesome t-shirts that we have. These are the ones I'm talking about. Them bonfire/buzzing with Marlowe shirts. That's right, guys. As you can tell, American Prodigy is up and ready to go. He is accepting bookings in any state or area that you need him to go. And of course, you can go over here and get you an awesome t-shirt, a long sleeve, a hoodie. We are in the process of getting tank tops. I know a lot of people have been requesting some tank tops. We're definitely going to get them. But as you can tell, those things look pretty daggum awesome. And they even have an American flag on the back. Be a part of that Prodigy Nation. And of course, we have Every Setback Makes One Heck of a Comeback t-shirts as well with the Season 5 logo on the back. Definitely, we do have tank tops of those. I do know we definitely got those right off the press for sure. Go in there, get you any type of color that you want. Ladies, we know the summertime is coming. We've got them Razorback tank tops waiting for you as well. We have every possible type. There's 4 different versions of it. Every Setback Makes One Heck of a Comeback. We have the American Prodigy t-shirts. We also have our original Buzzin' with Marlowe logos, personal favorites with the hats. We even have the Season 5 morphing into the Season 5 logos as well. They're a little bit more pricier just due to the sharp colors that we had to have to put onto these things. As you can tell, those things are really, really detailed. And of course, guys, we have those hats. That's right. I just got way more hats put onto the store just recently because we always sell out on the hats. I do want to remind y'all, we do have shirts, but hey, as long as you're buying something, we don't care. So definitely go in there, go to bonfire/buzzing with Marlowe, type in the promo code BUZZ20 and get you 12% off of that purchase. Shout out to Bonfire for that Buzzing with Marlowe merch. And of course, guys, you do get an option to get gift cards now. That's something that Bonfire is new, starting out now, getting some gift cards. So definitely go in there and get you some gift cards as well. So go Bonfire/Buzzing with Marlowe to get all of your Buzzing with Marlowe purchases. Shout out to Bonfire. All right, guys, I think we wasted enough time. I think it's time to get started with the interview. So, guys, first and foremost, I want to thank all the guests that we've had in the past. Thanks to everyone that has been constantly supporting the Buzzin' with Gaming channels that we have been doing right now. Super thankful of it. We've been having fun with it. We're going to bring it back again. I think we're going to do maybe one later on tonight. Not totally sure. We'll see. Obviously, with WWE coming on, we got Backlash going on tomorrow. It's going to be an early one because it is an overseas pay-per-view, so definitely check that one out if you're a wrestling fan. We have a lot of cool things definitely coming out next week. We have the same live episode. We're going to have 2 live interviews coming up back to back. We got today, and then we got one next Friday as well. So definitely put it on your calendars. We are coming back live every single Friday if we can. Definitely will be in the process. Y'all can thank my studio director, aka my daughter Annabelle, because we had a lot of content for you, and she decided it wasn't what it needed to be, I guess. But guys, today we are going to be joined with an awesome guest today. I want to thank also the awesome Andrea Mason. As y'all remember, she's been on the podcast a couple of times for sponsoring this podcast and doing the amazing things that she does for anyone. I mean, just the awesome attitude, everything. Like Andrea does a remarkable job. She also is the reason to bring this awesome guest that we're going to have today. That's right, guys. I'm talking about the one, the only, Mary Ellen. That's right, Mary Ellen. She is going to explain a lot of things, man. I know a lot of people have reasons for, can't get up out of bed and on time, can't go to work, and all these different things, man. We about to give y'all a little bit of some of that gospel today, man. It's gonna be an awesome chat, guys. Come into the chat, blow it up. We definitely want to hear some questions. If you got some questions, we're going to have some answers as well. We're going to have a lot of fun. So, guys, we ain't going to waste no more time. When the countdown goes 30 to 1, we will be joined with Mary Ellen. And, guys, and that countdown starts in 3, 2, 1, right?
Have you always aspired to be a professional wrestler? Do you think you have what it takes to step through these ropes and take your place among the immortals? Well, now you have an opportunity. Join us at the DCCW training facility at Harvest Ministries in McClenny, Florida. There you will be put to the test and challenged like you have never been challenged before. If you think you have what it takes, prove it to the world, but most importantly, prove
Guys, I am joined with the one, the only, Mary Ellen. How you doing?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you so much, Warren, and thank you, all you Buzzing with Marlowe fans, and Andrea Mason. You are the best, truly. So thank you so much for that.
Absolutely. So, Mary Ellen, I mean, how are you doing? I know we're in two different areas, not that far away, actually, believe it or not. So that's actually kind of nice to know. Like, hey. I'm not talking to somebody who's like halfway across the globe right now. Like, literally, you're maybe like about 2 states away.
Chattanooga, Tennessee.
You born and raised there?
No, I was actually born in Batavia, New York, raised in Atlanta, Georgia. Went to the University of Georgia, and now live in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Go Bulldogs. Here we go. Some
That's
of you Florida fans, watch out now.
Good school.
That's got to be a transition though, from New York all the way to Georgia. How was that at first? I'm really curious because I was born in New London, Connecticut, but I've been raised basically half my life out here in Florida, like in Jacksonville, Florida. Like it is different. I mean, I won't say it's like too different from me compared to you because I don't really remember anything of Connecticut because I was like maybe a 1, if that. So like, how was that transition?
See, I was 4 years old when my father was transferred to Atlanta, Georgia. So as far as, I remember the North because my mother's parents lived in Buffalo, New York, but my father's parents lived in Ennis, Montana. So we were able to travel almost all over the country when I was a kid. So I remember a lot more of the South than anything, and my heart's in the South.
Your heart's in the South. I like it. So you like that lifestyle, that background, all that. So you basically claim that Southern heritage, huh?
I like most of it, but for the last 26 years, I've been married to a South Side Chicago guy.
Wow. Okay.
He was a baseball pitcher, and we've been married for 26 years now. Second husband, of course, but it's doing wonderful basically because of the things that I teach people that I learned, because I was able to bring these into our marriage and make our marriage exactly what God wanted it to be.
Okay. So basically, this ain't just stuff that you use for your clients. You use this also for yourself as well. So you just tackled on a great way we're going to jump into this episode. If nobody knows who you are, Mary Ellen, tell them a little bit about yourself.
Well, if they want to Google me, you just go to Ask Mary Ellen, and you'll find all the articles I've written, my website's Ask Mary Ellen. But, at the age of 4, I was diagnosed, no, at the age of 6, I'm sorry, I was diagnosed with epilepsy. And I didn't have big seizures. I had little staring spells. And I was always told growing up that, you couldn't get married, you couldn't have kids, you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that. And I remember looking at my mom and dad and going, why are you guys telling me this? I mean, I was in first grade. And I remember my mother coming up to me and saying, well, at least you don't look like you have it. I didn't know what people with epilepsy were supposed to look like if I didn't look like it. So I went on to high school. I was a cheerleader and I started modeling, and I went to the University of Georgia, joined a sorority, and ended up graduated magna cum laude in education. So I taught middle school for 15 years. I basically never allowed anything to stop me because I was fortunate enough to be controlled with medication. Why should anything stop me? So it took me, but to my first husband, it took me 6 hours to tell him I had epilepsy because of that fear that had been instilled in me when I was a child. Mm-hmm. And he was like, oh, okay. Well, after 13 years of marriage, he got up one morning and said, I don't love you anymore, and left. And I'm like, okay. And then as I spiraled down into sadness and all that junk you go through from a divorce that you don't see coming, although you should have seen it coming. I began to study it was the Atlanta Awareness Center at the time. I think it's the Atlanta Center for Spiritual Healing.
Okay.
I began to learn things about myself. I began to learn truths. And I had just been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And I remember it was 1989, and they didn't have any medications for MS at the time. So I went on a spiritual journey, a holistic journey, to find ways to keep my MS monster in his cave instead of it controlling me.
Right.
And I learned all of these truths, and I learned all of the ways to keep myself healthy. And let's see, I was diagnosed in 1989. So for over 30 years now, I've been able to control MS instead of it controlling me. Now, I do use some different techniques, but I do not take any of the MS medications. And I don't teach people not to take them. What I say is if they're working for you, keep taking them. And
Right.
if they're not, then let's look at something different.
I like that. I like that. I like how you we've talked about it behind the camera plenty of times when you talk about like different medicines and like how you're already, like I say consistently, obviously you're thinking because they are the term doctor, they know more than what you should already know of yourself in a way. That's why you're like, all right, let the doctor do their job. I've kind of learned in a way sometimes like, all right, maybe it's not okay to agree with everything that they say. Like, so what was your perspective on the medicine perspective and where you said, I'm not going to do it? Like, what was some of the reasons that you were like adamant on about the medicine part? Because a lot of people, when they say that, people are just thinking, okay, I have to take it because they said the doctor said I had to take it. I got to take it. So like, what was your perspective on it?
Well, there were a couple of things, Warren, and that was number one. When I was diagnosed, I was fortunate there were no MS shots yet, the Avenic ABC shots. Okay. Number two, since I had already what I thought defeated, epilepsy, I thought, well, gee, I can handle this too. It's been a little bit harder than I ever thought because I have woken up with my MS before and I'd had eyesight, but I'd be like, I would see 4 of you over here and 4 of you over here. I got up out of bed one day and fell to the floor. I didn't have legs. And what you do is you do not allow that to scare you. You don't grab onto that fear of, oh my gosh, I'll never walk again, or I won't be able to see. I should have taken that. I should have done it. You calm down. You take a deep breath and you just let it be. And it literally 3 months to the day, little by little by little, everything came back to normal. And what I teach people is to find their triggers. Okay, if you have an attack, whether it's lupus or MS, whatever your diagnosis is, okay, and you have a flare-up, okay, who did you just talk to? What did you just eat? What did you just drink? What did you just do? How many stresses are you going through in your life? Okay, because there are different things for me that will trigger an attack, and I stay away from those. It's been an interesting journey, and I feel very fortunate and when I say I've been blessed with epilepsy and MS, and I've got a couple other things too, and it's because through going through these, I'm now able to teach people what God needs for them to know, to have a peaceful, healthy, happy life.
I like that. I like that concept because a lot of people, I've said it countless times, a lot of people find it as they want to find that halfway, like something that they don't have to fully invest in. It could be halfway to what they need to have. Great example. I say it all the time that we got a new thing called we can take a shot and we can lose weight now instead of just doing it the normal way, just going to the gym. Like I tell people all the time, man, you earning that more just does something a little bit better than you getting something. Of course it works, but what was the purpose of it with the side effects and how quickly it is for you to constantly get it back? I used to use the reference because I was very big when I was younger and stuff like that. I used creatine like nobody's business. Yeah, I looked really big with creatine, but when I stopped taking creatine, I looked like SpongeBob. SpongeBob literally with the inflated arms, and it just and your arm just goes away. Like it just felt like those different kind of concepts. Like people just wants that halfway mark to literally teach them and steer them to that concept. So for you to sit there and say, hey, that's not happening for me. For you to, I do gotta ask, you being in transition from the school system and stuff like that, what were some of the things that you learned from the school system to help you adapt to what you're doing now?
Well, my mother was a teacher and then she was a principal. And so when I went to college, I wanted to go in fashion design. And she goes, no, you will be a teacher. So I'm like, okay, fine. And I really did enjoy it. I enjoyed having 6th, 7th, or 8th graders because I could speak to them. And I always had my classroom set up. There was an objective for the day. There was a factoid, which was a strange and unusual fact pertaining to that day's subject. And then I had a Vitamind, which was a vitamin for your mind. And then there was a first 5-minute activity. So when the kids came in, they wrote down objective 1. This was their notebook. And, the vitamins were so important because I wouldn't just have them write it down. We would talk about these. We would talk about the objective. We'd talk about the factoid. I'd say one of the factoids or vitamins might have been, okay, what you focus on expands and what you think about happens. Okay, what do you think that means? Oh, I can just focus on $1 million. No, that's not exactly what I mean. You can focus on what you want and do the work to make it happen. And so, and I've had students come back to me years later, in fact, just recently, and say, I really always enjoyed your classes because they were fun and they were, I like to have fun, whether I'm in class or not. And they said, but, I still have those vitamins and I still read them. And, And that's basically what my truths of the day are that I post on all social media platforms. And they're basically the vitamins, in a longer form. They are vitamins for everybody. They're inspirations for everybody to begin your day off or end your day. That's what all 3 of my books are, because I love teaching mindfulness. And mindfulness is basically teaching people to change their thoughts, change your life. If you want to change your life, the best thing you can do is change your thoughts.
Yep.
Visualize winning that match. Visualize sinking that basketball. Visualize everything you want in your life exactly to the detail of what you want.
Yep.
And that includes healing.
I agree with that, because you spoke through my mind on that one, because obviously I've learned in my past, I never did that part where we say focus on the mind. Take care of that mind. Like, you only got one brain. You only can do so much. I remember when I was younger, I used to force myself constantly with the training standpoint. When I was playing basketball, shoot the basketball until I couldn't see the ball anymore. To where, literally until it's completely dark and I can't see this thing of basketball. That's how long I would shoot every single day and stuff like that.
Yeah.
To where now I wish I would have focused on, that scenario as just as much as I do put in the work going into a gym or stuff like that. That's one of my main goals this summer, for a fact, is I've literally said consistently a lot. And I did start working on it in the COVID area. I was starting to read books. I hated reading books. It's like I've told you before, I don't constantly I don't like sitting down for a long period of time. I have to constantly figure out something to move or something. So shout out to the new technology that can read audiobooks to you while you're, running around and stuff like that, especially getting into the podcast realm. That was kind of like my book reading in some ways, because the weirdest thing now is I'd rather listen to podcasts while I'm working out than listen to music, which is insane for me to say. But it's there's so much knowledge, and I love the perspective that you said for that, because I tell people all the time, the hardest decision, the hardest choice is to show up. When you show up, you've already got the halfway mark. You've already exceeded the race than what you would have been if you were I'll think about it. I got my shoes today, but I'll do it later. I gotta go take a nap. I'll sleep on it and I'll wake up. Oh, I'll do it maybe the next one. No, you gotta put your feet out one by one and step to that race line to get you started. That's the biggest thing that I tell people all the time. Show up is the biggest choice that you can make.
Yep.
And that's where I say the whole analysis is literally, get them thoughts right. You show up. It's like if you go to a restaurant, if you don't finish a meal that you have personally bought, like a steak dinner or whatever, you're going to take it home, because guess what? You bought this thing. You're going to eat it, regardless if it's not going to taste the best that it came out of the restaurant, whatever. You're going to go eat it because you spent money on this steak. That's where I wish that mindset would be for everything else. If you put that in perspective, man, I bought these shoes. I need to go out for a run. I need to do these things.
Yep.
I tell my wife has been really working with me on this too. I buy a book to force myself to read it, to force myself to really try this thing out, stuff like that. So I love that perspective. So what are some of the things that really helped you get this book idea?
Well, I always knew I was supposed to write a book. And I began writing about the educational system because I have a lot of ideas for changing it. Yet I struggled with it. And anytime you struggle with something, that means that it's really not what you're supposed to do. So I began hearing these little vignettes, which make up healing words. And they are just little vignettes, little poems. This is an easy to read, thin book. All is from awareness all the way through to faith and forgiveness.
Mhm.
And I began hearing them, and I say from God, from my higher power, whatever. And I told God, I said, I don't want to write them. Look at me. I got glow in the dark, blonde hair, long fingernails. Nobody's going to listen to me. Just pick someone else. And God comes back and goes, why do you think I put you through everything you went through in your life? I mean, you couldn't tell me while I was going through it. I mean, you know.
You can't have the cheat code.
I sat down and I wrote this. And literally my husband that I have now, this husband, I thought I was having a nervous breakdown because I wouldn't stop writing. And we were living in Pinehurst, North Carolina at the time. We drove to Atlanta. Pete goes to do some work, comes back, and he goes, okay, we can go shopping. I said, no, I have to write. And he goes, you can't go shopping. So Healing Words came out. The first edition came out in 2011. This is the second edition, and it came out, I believe, in 2018.
Mhm.
So then my publisher told me, well, you have to get on Facebook and all the social media stuff. I said, well, I don't want to do that. And they said, well, you have to. And so I was trying to think of a way that if people liked what I wrote, would gear them towards Healing Words, but would be different.
Mhm.
So I came up with a truth of the day. And I began writing truths of the day. And then came out the second book, Truth, Taking Responsibility Unleashes True Healing. Now, these are different from what's on the internet. I literally sat down. It took me probably 2 years to write. 366 are in here.
Wow.
And the peacocks on the cover, because of the way peacocks get their feathers.
Yep.
And peacocks get their feathers by eating thorns. And the harder the thorn is to digest, the more colorful the tail, the more colorful the color is in the peacock's tail.
Mhm.
And it's the same way with people. The challenges we go through, the trials we go through, the tribulations we go through, whatever challenges you're going through, when you go through it and you learn from it, now that's the key, and you learn from it, then the peaceful, loving people we can become. And then Truth Lives came out after COVID sometime. But I wrote this book, and there's actually supposed to be 2 more, although I haven't written them yet, because
Uh-oh.
I wanted to teach people a new way to think,
Mhm.
you know, because right now our society is so negative and it's so down. You turn on the TV, you hear negative. You turn around and you see negative. And I want people to understand that you can see negative, or you can see, or you can choose to see positive. And I'm not saying you should say positive, 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 because to the extent you stay positive, 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 the universe has to hit you with a negative to keep you in balance. It's like a seesaw.
Mhm.
So it's interesting because I hate using that word positive all the time, because people are saying, oh, you're kind of like a Pollyanna. No, I'm not. Okay. I know I have MS to deal with in my human form. But when I die and go to heaven, hopefully, will I have MS? Hope not. Because if I do, then you would say there is MS in heaven. I don't think so. Yet on this earthly plane, we buy into all these negative pictures. And it's interesting because so many people like to stay stuck in their diagnosis. It gives them a reason. It gives them an excuse. Well, I can't do that because of this. I can't do that because of this. I will tell you right now, when I have the worst fatigue with my MS going on in the morning, I will still get my butt off the couch, go downstairs to our workout room and work out. And when I come back up, guess what? My fatigue's gone. It's interesting. And it's,
I love the concept with the peacock. That speaks so much value. I remember when you told me about it behind the camera, I was just like, how can a bird digest a thorn and it grows something? And that is a huge analogy for life, because we feed into so much. Oh, this person said this person said this. It's got to be true because someone on our TV is telling us this.
Yeah.
Me seeing what you said about that analogy about a thorn, those are the things that makes us grow. And those are the things that makes us not only get that more knowledgeable. Like, I may not be, a college graduate on certain things, but I look around, I view around my surface a little bit more, so I know what my horizon shows. And for the stuff that I've seen consistently and doing these podcasts and doing these interviews and stuff, and basically get to like step foot in the shoes of my guest all the time when they're approaching and telling me these things. Like with you having epilepsy, with you having MS, a lot of people see that as a disease, as a thing, as like, oh, I'm sorry you have that. You look at it as, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I have time. I have rough days at times, but I'm still human. I tell people all the time, like celebrities, everybody wants to idolize celebrities. I tell people all the time, I'm a big Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson fan. I love the analogies that he comes up with, like where he just tells you, hey man, you gotta just put the work in with your bare hands. Like, I used to be against all these positive talks and all this stuff, but it's like, it's a true, well said thing. We get thrown thorns all the time. We could either walk around it or you can swallow it. Not only swallow it, grow from it.
Yeah.
And that's something I've learned from these things. Is like, you can't always find a shortcut in life anymore. You can't just sit there and go through these things like, oh man, this sucks. So what should I do? Google, what do you think I should do today? Like, and I mean, it sounds crazy, but I'm pretty sure some people do it. Like, I'm depressed. Google, what should I do today? Oh, it told me this. I tell people all the time, I'd rather take control of myself than be a statistic. And stuff that I've went through in my past and stuff like that, I have heard that what people go through with what I've done through the same thing, a lot of them ain't still here because of the fact that it is a very hard thing to deal with at times. It is a very hard thing to, be able to control and live through. I mean, I can have people countlessly times. I have people that talk about, hey man, you're a good father and stuff like that. And then I got those one or two little Nancy's that would go out there and go, well, if you're as good as a father, your son would be with you full time as well. And it's like, I got to sit there and be like, yeah, okay, cool. If you knew my story, but hey, if you don't want to know the story, that's fine. But I tell people all the time, man, don't fully judge that person by that cover until you know the surroundings at the same time. And that's something that I've barely been adamant on to these podcasts is not just walking away from the hard things. Like I tell my wife all the time. I always tell her, we have a roof, we have happiness, we have our family. That's all we need. I mean, all this other stuff, and I mean, we did go through a really tough time, especially when her father passed. I mean, my wife, that is her best friend. That was literally everything to her. And I literally said for the longest time, I joke about it now, but it was like a serious thing at the time. I really was expecting maybe we were probably going to get a divorce because just how tough this was going to be on her and stuff like that. Like I felt like she likes lashing out. It's probably going to happen to me regularly. And I don't know how to control the scenario, but I tell her, but it's one thing has been amazing just to see these things adapt and see how she has became out of this now. I mean, it's been tough. It's been tough, but I tell her all the time, like, you can't walk away from it. You need to just take it and grow from it. And that's something that I tell people all the time, man. You can't walk away from these hard troubles. Sometimes that's a calling. You always ask, hey, I need to change. Well, change is knocking on your door. All you got to do is accept it. It might be tough. It might take you a year. It might take you a couple of years. It might take you way more. But the question is, are you going to endure it and take and try? As long as you try, that I mean, you can only do so much, but as long as you try. So you did say you did have 2 other books planned out as well. So what are some of the concepts that those books should possibly be? If you could talk about it. I don't know if you could talk about it or not. So
Truth Lives was supposed to be like a 3-book series.
Okay.
Because there's like a third of a year in this book and then 2 others. And I was going to do like Truth Now and then Truth Forever and Ever. And, you know, it's easy for me to write the books.
Mm-hmm.
That's not hard. What's hard to do is selling the books or getting people. See, I know in these books. See, I teach people to come from their knowings in here, your core, your higher, you're connected to your higher power. Your belief always includes a doubt. So those beliefs, you want to just kind of take them and go away. But if your knowing is telling you, yes, I can do this, yes, I can heal that, you know, then you go forward. You always follow your knowings.
Right.
And going back to what you said a minute ago about fear, if you don't mind, you must walk through your fears. And I always had the fear that my daughter would have epilepsy because I was told all my life, can't get married, can't have kids, you know. Well, at the age of 3, she was misdiagnosed with epilepsy. I had a nervous breakdown, totally broke down. Ended up taking her, we lived in Danbury, Connecticut at the time, took her to the West Haven VA hospital. And I worked with a world-renowned neurologist, Dr. Richard Matson. And he worked with me and then with her. And he said, Marion, I don't know who diagnosed her or why. You have a perfectly healthy, normal child. He said, any 3-year-old's EEG would be abnormal. But see, I never thought about going back and suing a doctor or anything like that, because I truly believe doctors are trying to do the best they can. I bought into that fear picture. That was my greatest fear happening. I have to be responsible, just like it says on the PCAC book, taking responsibility unleashes true healing. I had to take responsibility for curing that for her.
Right.
And she's now summited 5 of the 7 summits in the world. So she's fine.
She made it. She made it. Victory. I like that. I love how you talk about that because obviously I will talk a little bit of it. My son, him being diagnosed with NF1 at 12 months old, because he had I think it was over 12 birthmarks. So obviously it was a sign, especially at his age. It was very young and stuff like that. We always were informed that later on, when he hit about 7 or 8, we were going to have to possibly expect surgery regarding with his back. I refused the fact that my son was going to be like a special needs child. And I'm very open about it now. Obviously, I do see it a whole different perspective than what I did back then. I used to see these things as, these were a setback. And I used to say, oh, well, we could help him, grow him into being like us, grow him being, into these same points. Like my son, when he was 1, he was crawling. He wasn't walking yet. My son really couldn't walk until he was at age of 7 without braces. My son actually had to have the ankle braces to, give, trying to figure out the word, stability for him to walk. And every time we went into the hospital, it was something else. We got a testing. The only thing he did not have was a blessing, was a hole in his brain and a hole in his heart. But he had scoliosis. He had he had I'm trying to think. He was on the autistic spectrum for sure. He had over like 300 things off the autism spectrum, so there was no way he was escaping that one. Him, there was a possibility that this NF could have got really strong in his brain. Luckily, they found it early, so he was okay. My son's had more operations than I have, and it's insane to think this stuff now because obviously, my son, he has to have a lot of a different mindset because his mommy and daddy aren't together, and we haven't been together since he was 1. And seeing that we do have 2 different families, he has a sister off of my wife and my side, and he has a brother and a sister on his mom's side. So it's like he does see a lot of a differential things than most kids at the time, especially you add in the autistic, being autism, and the NF. And my son's now still recuperating from a spinal infusion surgery that put him in the hospital for over 60 days. So seeing these things and seeing the growth of what my son has, I look at it and go, there's no such thing as a bad day anymore to me, because I got a 12-year-old boy that can smile, that I've actually just witnessed him actually having a nervous breakdown, which was really tough for me to deal with. Even when I have this mindset and have this focus, like, it's more said than done than when it actually happens. And me getting that perspective when I was on the phone with him, he just like lost it. He's like, Dad, I don't like this anymore. I don't feel like I don't feel like all the other kids. I hate that we only talk on FaceTime. I want you here for my birthday. I want this. I want to be back in my class. I want to do this. I almost got accepted to be in the Special Olympics to play basketball like you, Daddy.
Oh, wow.
And that got taken away from me. Like, will I ever be able to play basketball again? Like, these are the things that a 12-year-old boy just went through. And hearing him say these things, and I tried to stay positive. Luckily on FaceTime, you can cut the camera on and off. I had to like act like the signal was messed up because I'm sitting there just I was speechless. A lot of things that I deal with, I don't really become speechless on these things. I didn't have anything to say to him. I couldn't say anything because I was just like, it struck me instantly. And I was just like, wow, he really does take this hard. Like, I used to say this all the time. My son's he's got the mindset. He looks like he's 14, 15, but his mindset is he's like almost 10 years old. But me hearing him say that, I literally said, I was like, my 12-year-old boy is literally in that 12-year-old stage. And hearing him talk about that was just, it does a lot to you. And knowing that obviously we don't live close to him at all. I live 8 hours away from him, and seeing this stuff, obviously I know I'm going to make a lot of trips to go see him, but it's like, he's really understanding everything now. And that's something like my biggest worry when we were younger. Obviously I had him when we were 21. When I turned 21 was when I became a dad. And seeing these things, and like that was the biggest thing I always used is like, luckily he was really young when this all started. To seeing this stuff transpire now and him ask me the questions that he's asking me, it's definitely going into that point. It's like, my boy ain't little anymore. And it's like, dang, son, those are some questions I don't even have answers for, because it's like, I can't control what's going on. I can only do what I see in my perspective and see these things. And it's just, it definitely does something to you. Like I tell people all the time, like, man, it's a different mindset when it actually happens to your very own. And that was my biggest fear, and I got to witness it like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. I can totally understand, because I remember going through high school and not being able to tell anybody, what was happening. And at home, my mom and dad would fight. My mom would throw things, and I couldn't tell anybody. because when we went to church, we would look like this perfect American family. And we only went on the I was raised Catholic, so we went on the high holy days. But yeah, they would come home and they would argue and they would fight. And I was always very sensitive, and I've learned that I'm an empath. I mean, I can feel people's emotions. That's why I work so well with my clients, because I can listen to what they're saying and I can hear the truth behind, because see, you're never upset for the reason you think. You might be upset over here, but it comes out over here. And the example I always give people, let's say a man's at work and his boss is yelling at him for his sales numbers. Okay. Well, he can't yell at his boss, but he comes home and he walks in the door and he trips over a child's toy. Yeah, the toy shouldn't have been there, but he blows up at his wife and his kids. Okay. He blows up at them because he feels safe doing that at home. It's still incorrect to do. Yet, see, you're never upset for the reason you think. So you always have to you have to take a step back and always look inside yourself. What do I need to learn from this? I need to learn maybe to vent in the car, to go to the gym before I come home, whatever, because I teach people a theory of one finger out, three fingers back.
Right.
Meaning the good you see in other people are the good things that are inside of you. So take those things and be grateful for them and bless them. And also, conversely, the things in other people that you really don't like are God's way of showing you what you need to work on in yourself. And if you just see something that you don't like and you let it go, that's not necessarily in you. Yet if you see something and the next day and the next day and even the next week, you're still going, I just can't believe that happened. I can't believe she yelled at him at that party right in front of everybody. Well, what about that do you need to learn? Do you yell somewhere in public? What do you need to learn from that situation? You always take everything back into yourself.
I like that. So you basically take an initiative for your actions, regardless of the situation, regardless of what's the surrounding. As long as you take initiative of your actions,
Right.
That's the main focus you should be portraying and focused on. I definitely like that concept. Definitely like that one. Mary Ellen, I want to thank you for doing this today. This was absolutely a blast. Eyes, if you can, man, go get one of those awesome books. The links will be below, guys. Check them out. And you learn something as well, man. Peacocks eating thorns, though. They are some strong birds be eating some thorns now. And you see that's how they grow the feathers. So
yeah.
I guess we need to get some peacocks around everybody's yards, because thorns are everywhere in my area. Like, holy moly. There would be peacock central out here. So Mary Ellen, is there any last things you want to say?
Well, everybody go to askmaryellen.com. That's my website. And you can link up on Facebook, Instagram, all those social media things. Follow my truths of the day and send me some questions. That's why I have Ask Mary Ellen. Send me your situation. I would love to help you through it.
Right, I'm putting it down there right for you, right there. Hold it right there. Oh no, I put it on the comments. How dare me? I literally just yeah, that's hilarious. I just did that. Hold on, sorry.
They'll find me.
They'll find you in the comments, that's for sure, right there, right? There we go. There we go. Yeah. All right, guys, check that link below. Ask her questions. Like it says, askmaryellen.com. Go in there. If you have some questions, she can be the one to answer them out for you. Mary Ellen, I want to thank you personally. Thank you for doing this. Great mindset, great views and stuff. And and I'm definitely looking forward to reading some of those awesome books that you got coming out, and looking forward to the next two that I think you probably picked shopping to write those over. So I mean, hey, you got girls got to live, right? The girls got to live, you know.
Sure.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's also you put 3 good books out. You got to go shopping eventually, right? You got to go shopping. But guys, I want to thank everyone for watching today. Definitely shout out to Ambassador as well, being very active on the chats. But guys, this has been another great episode of Buzzing with Marlowe. This is Mary Ellen. Guys, if you are new to the channel, make sure you like, share, most importantly, subscribe, hit that notification bell to stay in contact with all our platforms. Guys, shout out to the 27 people on the X account. We are growing on the X account. Maybe it's because I'm finally saying X and not Twitter. Obviously, we're doing great on Twitch. 26 people on Twitch today, and of course on Facebook Live. So thank y'all. Mary Ellen, I hope you have a great weekend. And like I said again, I thank you for doing this. Definitely, you're more than welcome to come on anytime you want. We will set it back up. So, guys, we hope y'all have a great weekend. I will see y'all next week. Y'all have a good one.
Hey.
Have you always aspired to be a professional wrestler? Do you think you have what it takes to step through these ropes and take your place among the immortals? Well, now you have an opportunity. Join us at the DCCW training facility at Harvest Ministries in McClenny, Florida. There you will be put to the test and challenged like you have never been challenged before. If you think you have what it takes, prove it to the world, but most importantly, prove it to yourself.